Hey, thanks for watching. This is Tammy Kabell with Career Resume Consulting, of course. And today I'm going to answer 10 questions that I got in the last couple of live streams that I didn't have time to answer during the live streams. Now, if you didn't catch our last couple of live streams, one just this last Friday was about taking a personal branding approach to job seeking and how you can use branding in your marketing materials like your resume and your LinkedIn profile, as well as your interviews. And then the time before that was really about leadership and how to be seen as a leader and how to be seen as a top performer. Really, what it takes, the mindset of a peak performer. That's what we went into. And so we've got a wide variety of questions that I got during the live stream that I did answer many of them during the live streams, but I have 10 of them that I didn't get to, and they're big, meaty questions. And I wanted to take the time to actually answer them fully and give you a lot of information about them. So I hope that you find these next 10 questions that I answer very helpful for you. So the first question is, how do you make a major decision like a big career change or a life change? Now, I'm assuming in that question, now this is coming from one of the viewers of the live stream, I'm assuming in that question that the career change is perhaps a function change and not just a change in industry. Now, if it's a change in industry, that's actually very easy. 70% of people who change jobs now change industries. So people move industries all of the time. My recommendation is to use a one-page functional resume, which you've probably heard me screaming from the mountaintops about that one-page functional resume because it gets such better results than the longer chronological resumes. But what it does, it makes you industry neutral so that you're not seen as immediately coming from telecom, or you're not seen as a retail guy. You're actually seen as just a sales executive. Okay. So if it's a career change, a career move that goes to a different industry, no problem. That's taken care of and people do it all the time. If you're talking about a functional change, what I would recommend, and I've recommended this to my clients that are considering making a functional change. Let's say you've been in marketing and now you want to pivot to sales, or you've been in sales and now you want to add some marketing experience so that you can move up to a CRO or a chief revenue officer role in the future. So if you do want to make that change, first of all, you're going to want to go out to posted positions online, and I recommend the LinkedIn job board. It's probably the best job board out there right now. It's definitely the most active. And I would look for the job that you are looking for. Don't necessarily look for something in a lower position, because you don't necessarily have to take a lower position when you're changing functions. You can make a lateral move, sometimes even if you've got experience in leadership, you can make a move up. So let's say you're going from sales to marketing. You're going to want to look at the marketing manager or marketing director roles and see what kind of transferable skills you actually have that would fit what they're looking for in a marketing director. So pick out those things that you could do, and then pick out the things that you don't have so that you know what things you have to work on in order to make that change. Now, something else that you might do is find on LinkedIn, do a search for people that would be one level above where you would want to be. If you're wanting to go into a marketing director role, then find some VPs of marketing. It doesn't matter if it's local, if it's nationwide, anyone that you can find that is in the type of company that you would want to work for. If you're thinking small to mid-sized company, there's a lot of growth there right now. So you could try to find a VP of marketing in a small to mid-sized company, and you would connect with them, let them know that you are considering to make a move, a change in your career, and you would be honored to add them to your connections on LinkedIn and to share your connections with them. And then you can call them up or you message them, let's say, like maybe a week or two later, and you say, I would love to have 10 or 15 minutes of your time, and really respect their time, but see if they'll do an interview with you, meaning just an informational interview. Ask them, what are you looking for in a marketing director that would go above and beyond what shows up on a job description? What kind of traits are you looking for? And try to see if they'll give you some transferable skills or the leadership traits that they're looking for, and see if there's enough of what you have that you could make that move right now. That's something to consider. I would talk to maybe 6 people, and that might mean reaching out to 12 or 15 of them to connect with them, because you may only find that 30 to 50% connect with you because they don't know you. If you have anybody in your first level connections that is a marketing director, ring them up and ask them if they would be so kind as to give you 15 minutes of their time at a time that's convenient for them, and then ask them the same questions. And really find out what, and give them your elevator pitch. Give them your introduction, what your experience is, what your background is, and then say, what else do I need to get? What other skills, traits do I need to acquire that in order to become a marketing director? And then they will let you know if they feel you're qualified for that, or if you have to go back to school or get a couple of courses or get a certification, something like that. So, and when you talk about a big career move, that's definitely what you would want to do as far as a big career move. A life change, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by a life change. A life change could mean getting a divorce, making a move to another town. There's a lot of things that a life change could be. So that's a little broad, and I don't really know how to answer that as far as making a major decision. I do know a lot of life coaches that could certainly help with that. So if you have that question and you want to contact me, then I'd be very happy to refer you to a life coach. But as far as making a big decision or a life change, really, it's about researching so you know what you're getting into, and then making the decision. And sometimes, I know a lot of executives that go the old Ben Franklin way of putting it down on a piece of paper and putting the pros and the cons and listing it out and saying, okay, just let's weigh these, right? And you want to, with each one of those, you would want those to be weighted. So if you've got a pro, and that's a really important pro, then put a big number next to it, like a 10 out of 10. And for things that really don't matter, put a 1 or a 2. So then you can, that's an easy way, actually, for very analytical people to decide to make a big decision. And then they put all the pros, they put all the cons, and then they add up the numbers at the end, and then they have a weighted average on each one. And then they can tell right there what's the best route to go. That is one way to do it. There are a lot of other ways that take a lot more intuition and a lot less number crunching. But if you want some life advice, I'm only 53. I don't have that much life advice. But, ask your parents, because they'll know. All right, so the next question. Or what to do when you lose obsessive attention to detail for your specialized field. Now, this comes from when I was talking about peak performance. I talked about how peak performers have an obsessive attention to detail in what they do. And so when it talks about a specialized field, if you lose that attention to detail, are we talking about you being burned out? Because if you're burned out, there are actually a lot of things you can do for burnout. One thing is you take a 2-week vacation or a 30-day to 90-day sabbatical. That really can do wonders for you. But if you're going to take a sabbatical, I recommend that you have a mission for that sabbatical and you have an outcome for that sabbatical. In other words, what is the direction you want to head? What decisions do you want to make? What changes do you want to make in your life? And then, make sure that during that sabbatical, whether it be 30 days or 6 months, that you really you come out of it a different person in some way, that you've made an improvement or a change in some way, so that you're working towards something. I know when I was working at in financial services as an executive. I had a 30-day sabbatical, and I had a life mission. It was both to increase my physical health and my mental health. And so I did a lot of meditating, and I did a lot of running on the treadmill, and it was a great experience. I came back a different person, and it was a paid sabbatical, and it was probably the best money that American Century Investments could have spent on me, because I came back re-energized, and I loved my work after that. So if you lose obsessive attention to detail, it could be that you're just burned out and you need a refresher. You need just something to feel renewed. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a vacation. Maybe it's just getting away from everything, going to a different location. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It could be a road trip, and you go off to a different state and you spend some time sleeping in motels. I mean, it could be as easy as that. Just getting away, just getting out of your normal. I mean, I can tell you that the pandemic, COVID has wreaked havoc on all of our psyches, and we all could use a big break. I think that might be one of the reasons that we're seeing so much disturbance in the force this year. And so I think that just getting away and just doing something that's different than what you're doing right now, and not being closed in your house, maybe that's the thing to do. And maybe we need to wait out. I don't know if you're locked up or not, but if your state isn't locked down, or if your country isn't locked down, take a break. So sometimes too, if you lose obsessive attention to detail for your specialized field, it could be that you need to make a change in the specialized field. That could be a change in industry, but you know what? It could be that you are in a bad situation at work. Let me give you an example. It could be that you have evolved as a professional more than how your boss and the rest of the company that you work for, the rest of your employer, you have evolved many years past how they perceive you. They may be perceiving you at the skill set level that you were 5 years ago, and you've really advanced since then. And because of that, you're feeling suffocated, you're feeling stifled. And if that's the case, if you're feeling underutilized and underappreciated, you're probably being underpaid as well, because they don't see you as having the capabilities that you truly do have. So having a change in employer means getting a job where they do recognize your brilliance, where you have made a step up and you have the autonomy to really make an impact where you didn't have before. So it might just be time to make a move. And to be honest, I have never seen job creation like I've seen in the last 3 months. The last 3 months, and we're talking July, August, September, have been amazingly busy for us and our clients. And it's not just us. I don't think it's anything magical that I'm doing. I really think that it's the job creation that's happening because companies realize that they need to evolve and they need to change and adapt to the way that customers are wanting to be treated and the way that services and products need to be delivered, as well as how the employees need to be treated. So if you're finding yourself disgruntled at work, you're just not happy anymore, you've lost that lust for life in the current job, especially if you've been in that company for a lot of years, you probably have just evolved past how they perceive you, and it's time for a fresh change. It's time to be perceived as that expert, that thought leader that you are. All right? And of course, if you need some help, call me. All right, so the next one is, how do I answer interview questions regarding the economy? This is an interesting question, and I would say that you would want to be positive. You could talk about the job creation that's going on out there. We've had a sharp V recovery. In other words, in February, the economy was up here as far as, how everything was going and the number of people that were employed. And then it dove in March. And then it has gone over half the way back up. And that's just in a few short months. So, we had a record number of people get jobs last month in August. We've never had 9 of our clients land new positions in 30 days. Never in the history of my business, which has been almost 13 years, I haven't seen that. And we only have about 40 or 50 people per, at any given time that we're working with. So to have 9 of them, it's amazing. We're having incredible job growth, and the average increase in total compensation is over 83%. It's 83.3%. So on average, our clients were making around $300,000 when they came on board with us, and in their new jobs, they're making over $500,000. It's amazing. I'm so excited. And so I can't wait for the rest of the year, because August is generally the slowest time of the year. Slowest month of the year is August. So it's only going to go up from here. I'm very, very excited. And even the big companies are hiring, because I've got a lot of clients that I'm helping. I'm coaching them through big company jobs, the really big companies that you know of. So you could talk about the positive aspect of the economy recovery. That's what I would ask, or that's what I would mention. And is it a problem here's the next question. Is it a problem for employers to accept someone from outside the States, even if they're American? Well, it is a problem only in that they're worried that they have to pay for relocation internationally, and international relocation is very expensive. So you would need to let them know before they even meet you, like on your LinkedIn profile, on your resume, or on your cover letter, that you are planning on moving back to the States and you are paying for that move yourself. So you would let them know that you're making a move, a repatriation to the United States, and you're very interested in talking with them about any opportunities that they have. And let them know that you are planning on paying for that relocation. That's really the only hesitation that they may have for a U.S. citizen that's working abroad, that's an expatriate, to come back, is going to be that relocation. So let them know that you would be paying for that yourself. And I hope you are able to pay for that yourself, because that is a big liability if you're hoping to have them pay for you. Now, if you are, then I would recommend going the route of not applying for anything where there's competition, but instead reaching out to companies that you would want to work for, whether or not you know that they have something available, and see if you can sell yourself into a job where there's no competition. That's really how most of our clients get jobs. And they get jobs created for them that wasn't there before. So I hope that helps. So let's talk about the next one. How do you document your job if you've worked for the same place for 20 years? Actually, most of our clients fit that description right there. Most of our clients have never had to look for a job in their lives. They've always been recruited away, and they've spent the last 15 or 20 years in the same company. So my recommendation, and I always shout it from the mountaintops, that a one-page functional resume that's industry neutral is the best way to put all of that down, because then it doesn't brand you as a retail guy. It's just showing you as a sales executive, or it doesn't brand you as being from telecommunications. And so you can really show yourself to be an emerging technology salesperson versus coming from telecom. So go with a one-page functional resume, and then show at the very bottom, almost like a footnote, that you've got 20 years of experience at this one company. You also want to be able to show some career progression in that company. And if it's not a career progression, at least show a progression in responsibilities, or the amount of projects that you take on, the scope of projects that you take on, or the impact that you've had a bigger impact as you've gone along in your career. I hope that helps. Another question is, but then the ATS does not, an ATS is applicant tracking system. ATS does not select your resume if you don't have job description keywords. How do we do that? So this was probably in response to me saying, once you've identified your personal brand, what's authentic to you, how you do business, who you are, what defines you, how you do business, what differentiates you from your competition, and what is attractive to an employer who's looking to hire somebody in the role that you're looking for. That's what you want to put down on a resume. Once you have that, I don't want you to change it for every role that you're applying for. What you're doing when you do that is you are trying to fit your square peg into their round hole, and that doesn't work. So instead, define who you are, then spread your credentials across a lot of different companies and see who is attracted to that and who would want somebody with your skill sets and with your experience and your impact. So find out who that is, and then you know it's going to be a good fit if you get a job there. But if you're constantly trying to put descriptive keywords in the resume in order to fit somebody else, it's not a good idea because it's not authentic to who you are. You're just trying to get a call. And it is true that 96% of people who go through the applicant tracking system never see a human eyeball on their resume. 96%. So just keep in mind that it's not really a good idea, especially if you're making over $100,000. It's not a good idea to put your resume through the applicant tracking system and apply for something online. It is a much better idea to go around that system, no posted positions, and look for companies that you would want to work for. And I would recommend companies from $10 to $150 million or $10 to $250 million. Those are the companies that nobody's heard of that you can research on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of other places that you can research. But find those companies and reach out to the person that would be your boss in those companies, whether or not you know they have something available. You will get a job much faster that way, and you're not at the mercy of recruiters and HR assistants that don't know what you do. And it's just a much better way to circumvent the system. You don't want to go through the system. Go away from the herd. Go away from the herd. Okay, opposite of the herd. Now, the next one is, what about ATS, applicant tracking systems, when using functional resumes? Good question. So a functional resume doesn't work with an applicant tracking system, and that's why we always, when we're doing an executive branding program, we will always write a 2-page chronological that the first half looks identical to our functional, but the bottom half where you have achievements is now in a chronological format. So that way they can use that to apply for online positions if they see something that's perfect for them. I recommend doing the chronological, but having that first half of the page still the same. Still talking about a summary paragraph with your key skills, your 3 core skills, and your key strengths. All of that, I would still put all of that on the front page, including your education, and then put where you worked and your accomplishments, not your job descriptors, but your accomplishments on a chronological couple of pages, and then send that into the applicant tracking system. But again, I'm not a fan of applying for things online because then you're in their system and they have the advantage and not you. So you need to have the advantage in your job search. Okay, so a couple more questions. One is how to handle if you're branding yourself for a higher level position and you're also applying for a little bit lower position just as a backup plan. How to handle this? This could be a problem, correct? Yes, this is a big problem. There are legitimate reasons why employers do not hire people that are overqualified. So if you're going for something higher and you're branding yourself to be positioned for something bigger, stick with that plan. And just, if you want to be more aggressive as a backup plan, then go after more companies. But don't go for a lower position because it's going to be really hard to get a lower position than what you're qualified for. A couple of reasons, actually 3 reasons. So the first is that they're afraid you're going to get bored and you're going to become disillusioned and disenfranchised and not engaged, and you might just end up ruining the whole barrel because you're a bad apple, because it doesn't work. But they don't want you to become bored in 6 months. Secondly, they don't want you to leave within 6 months if somebody else comes along and offers you a job that pays you a lot more because you're overqualified. You're really qualified for something much bigger than what you're doing. And so they don't want to put you in that position. And thirdly, they don't want competition. In other words, if you're interviewed by someone and you can both tell that you should be managing them, they're not going to hire you. They're totally intimidated by you and they feel like you could be taking their job at any moment. They're not going to do it. So even though, the only people that will not be intimidated are a CEO or an owner, a founder, and sometimes other good leaders in the C-suite. But other than that, everyone's always wondering if you're going to surpass them. So you don't want to go for jobs that are beneath your qualifications, because it's harder to get that job if it's beneath your qualifications. Okay, so last question. When should you follow up on a position decision? I've sent a thank you after the interview and was told I'm still in the running, and that was 2 weeks ago. Send another follow-up? Okay, so it's a very good question, and I'm going to answer that one for you. So you have to be patient. I have worked with, and it really depends on the level of the level of the job and the size of the company. The bigger the company, the longer it takes to hire. With small to medium-sized companies, I've seen people get hired within 2 weeks of the first conversation. That's really fast. However, with larger companies, it takes a longer amount of time, and some of my clients have waited anywhere from 9 to 12 months in a hiring process before the company pulled the trigger and gave them the offer. So that's a long time too. 2 weeks is not that long of a time. You have to look at it from their end. I understand that from the job seeker's standpoint, you feel like every day is an eternity and you're counting down the days. But from a company standpoint, the hiring manager and HR, they're working really hard doing their full-time job. Yeah, they may want to hire you. You're still in the process, and they may have other candidates to talk to, but they've got to work their full-time job at the same time. So it may take them a little longer to get back with you, especially if they have to have each person talk to a lot of people. That's a lot of scheduling and logistics that they have to get through in order to get you to the next level. So I want to give you a suggestion though. Every time you follow up, and I would wait probably 3.5 or 4 weeks, and I know that sounds like an eternity, but that's going to be what's best so that you don't look like a pest. And when you do reach out, add some value to them. Don't just reach out and say, hey, I'm just checking in. Just wanted to know where we are in the process. Don't do that. Think about what was talked about in your last discussion. Find out what they're dealing with, whether it be something that you talked to the interviewer about, like let's say a goal or initiative that's going on right now, or maybe they have some challenges that they're dealing with. Whatever that is, find something that will help them discover a solution by finding an article or even a white paper or a PowerPoint presentation, anything that's out there on the web that you can find that you can send to either the HR person or the hiring manager and say, hey, I was thinking about our conversation and I found this piece of advice. I thought that this might be helpful for you. Hope to hear from you soon. That's really what you have to say. And really, that would be your best bet. I'm going to give you one little piece of advice too. This is a trick that I came up with several years ago, and it really, really works. As a matter of fact, it has helped 5 or 6 people in the last year get new positions, and that is my Amazon book trick. Now, I haven't told anybody this trick outside of my clients, so I'm going to share this with you. So the Amazon book trick is, if you have a job that you know you're perfect for, you love the hiring manager, you love the entire company, everything they stand for, you know this is the job meant for you. You were meant to do this job. If this is your ultimate job, then spend the $15. Find a leadership book or some sort of book that has inspired you and send it to the hiring manager, and in there, put it as a gift. And they basically drop ship it and send it within a couple of days to the person. And then just say something like, in the note, just say, hi, David, chapter 13 really inspired me, and I hope it inspires you too. Best regards, in your name. And then, or warm regards, really, if you want to be touchy-feely. And then be sure and spend the extra $3 to $5, usually it's like $3.99, to get it gift wrapped. A lot of times the books, and you can do paperback, it doesn't have to be a hardbound book, but get it gift wrapped so that they get a box sent to them from Amazon to the office. And if it's a big company, they will ship it home, inter-office mail, if if the person's working from home, and they'll get it within a few days, and then they'll see your name. Be sure and put your full name on there, and say that it's a gift. And it has worked every single time somebody has tried it, and then that person prizes that book. Everybody loves gifts. Everybody loves something, especially out of the blue. If it's not your birthday, anniversary, everybody loves a gift. So get it gift wrapped and send it to them, especially if it means something to you and you want to share that with the person. That is my biggest tip for you of the day, if you stuck with me for a half hour and watched the video. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And if you've watched the whole thing, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. And I hope that all of this has been helpful. And so have a great rest of your day. I hope to see you at the next live stream. We really cover a lot of ground. It's almost like drinking from the fire hose, and you've got to watch the replay. And if you can't make it live, be sure and watch the replay. Catch that replay, because there's a lot of information there. And if ever you need anything, feel free to just reply and let me know, and I'd be very happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye now.